here. So we're going to start out with our usual quick COVID update. Very interesting. The moral of the story here for the COVID update today is do your planning very carefully. Governor Ige did change things around just a bit. He said that you must have a negative COVID report before you arrive on the islands. So there's been some cases where people, they went and they got tested, and they didn't get their tests back in time. They came to Hawaii with sort of like the test en route, and and back then, before this ruling, you could quarantine until you got your test, and when you got your test results, if it was negative, you were free to wander. You were free from quarantine. That's no longer the case. So things may be changing here and there. So you really, really, really want to make sure that you do your planning and got all your facts straight. I would definitely make sure I would not come to Hawaii unless I had a negative test in my hand within the 72-hour deadline. That was the big story. Secondary story, HA testing options. This is Hawaiian Airlines. So Hawaiian Airlines, very interesting, some sort of to me, an indicator. Hawaii Airlines is expanding their COVID testing options for travelers heading to Hawaii. They're offering drive-through and walk-up pre-flight tests in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Portland, and Seattle. Results are guaranteed within 36 hours. So that's a really good thing. I also caught, and I didn't have a chance to post it, this just came in. I also caught some news that Hawaiian Airlines is going to be starting in December. They won't be blocking the middle seat. They were blocking the middle seat for sort of social distancing purposes. That's going to stop. So that tells me that there is more capacity, and that tells me that Hawaiian Air feels safe about it, and we're going to have more travelers. So case-wise, we're doing good. There's been no spikes. You see that graph over there. That was as of a couple of days ago. But again, the moral of the story here is to plan it out. I'm just going to want to go really quick around the table here. Is there anything on the COVID side that you want to add? Dylan, let's go with you first, and then you, Scott. Anything on the COVID? Is there any COVID news on the Big Island, or anything else that you'd like to add?
Not really, nothing significant. It's just I have a lot more examples of people traveling and going through the process, and it's a little bit stressful finding a provider and getting the results in time. But I've had dozens of people at this point that have come in and went through the process successfully and have enjoyed their trip and have returned back home. So it seems like this pre-travel testing program.
Yeah, exactly. Really quick, Jonathan, what's the tourist traffic like right now compared to pre-March levels? It's down like 80%. Which makes it a great time to come to Hawaii, because it's still basically it's empty. My wife and
I went to one of my favorite spots, took a client out for lunch the other day, and it's one of my favorite spots. And normally you got to get a reservation for, it's right on the water, second story overlooking Kailua Bay. And, you just walk in at 11:45 and the place is 25% full, so I'm not taking that for granted.
Yeah, exactly right. Scott, is there anything that you want to add on the COVID and COVID related news that you've discovered or have seen or observed?
No, the main thing is examples from clients and from people that are coming over here. As long as you're organized and you have everything together in the proper order that the state requires, the process is pretty smooth. The most challenging part is finding those approved places to get the testing ahead of time. That's where some people are having some difficulties. Even I had somebody in South Dakota that they said that urgent care was turned into a COVID only testing, and they were charging over $800 per test. And that was like the only place he could go to get his testing that was approved. And he said, the heck with that. I'll just do the United one in San Francisco on his way here, which he did. So then he had to leave the airport, and the testing there, like I mentioned before, is in the middle of the long-term parking lot. So it's a little different, a little odd, but so finding the right testing center is the biggest challenge.
Planning is the key. You gotta really plan this out. But if you do your planning right, it's all going to work out well. Thanks, guys. Let's see here. We have a quick one. Let's take a quick look over here really fast. This one is from Rhonda. Rhonda, hi, Peter. Been following you for about 7 months now. I made the move to Oahu in July. Awesome. Absolutely love the islands. I was completely taken with the absolute beauty of this land. Yes, I know. peering up over here. The I had a terrible experience with localism only once. It was pretty scary. On the topic of traveling, what's the rule in going between islands? Is it still negative COVID test prior to traveling from Oahu to Big Island? Is there a 3-day quarantine still? Dylan, what's the scoop with? Do you know what the story is with inner island travels from Oahu to Big Island?
My understanding is there is no restriction right now inner island.
Okay, there is no restriction. So Rhonda, what I would recommend is, again, do your research. There's a couple of Hawaii. There's like the Hawaii Visitors Bureau has a good page. You want to go to the Hawaii Department of Health site, and again, it's all about planning because it could change tomorrow. I know that Kauai was talking about they wanted to have the quarantine happen after you go to Kauai. So it's, again, planning is the key, but I think it's pretty straightforward. Okay, thank you, Rhonda, and go ahead, Scott.
I would probably say that's the one confusing thing to me and to everybody is the counties seem to be able to do a little bit different on their own, and that's where some of the confusion comes in. I had a buddy of mine who had someone cancel on their vacation rental in December because they were like, you know what, this is too much of a pain to go figuring out this process and try to get everything straightened out. So that is my one concern is, to me, it should be more uniform across the state, but I understand the reason why not. If Kauai has no cases and Oahu has 100 per day, then you probably do want to have some kind of different rules.
Yeah, it does. That idea does make things confusing, but yes, certainly, certainly, there's good reasons to have it different. Though it's more confusing, but like you said, Kauai and Oahu couldn't be more different. And hey,